Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it first here on West Bremer Radio at 8:16. I'm going to announce the new replacement for Koshy.
Really? You know who it is.
Harold the H. Peacock is the new host of Channel 7 Sunrise. Congratulations, Harold.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. I hadn't heard that before. I just assumed you'd got the gig, but I'll happily sit in there until you're ready.
I was going to get the radio athlete, Damien. You can imagine they could put a lot of logos over Damien.
They could. I could be a walking billboard.
A walking billboard. And then during the program, all he has to do is have his cheese toasty and he'd be right up there.
Yep, that'll reveal the secret billboard notification.
Now, we are in Colabranabri. It's it was -1 before, but you're going to tell us about the big chill of 1908 in Ipswich. Oh, before that,
that's right.
Before that, let's answer the question from a listener. Why is Ipswich known as limestone?
Well, because when the area was first discovered by the European settlers, they mined limestone here, and so it became limestone as a result. It was to build the buildings back in the Brisbane settlement, in the Pennell settlement.
Is that right, eh?
Exactly right.
So you've answered it. Now tell us all about the big chill.
Yeah, and I'm telling you this because this week's been a little bit cold, or a lot cold in Ipswich, and Ipswich has long been closely connected with the cold. Now, this has even been through its mayors, because in 1895, the alderman and future mayor, Frank Springle, opened the coolest place in town, and that was the North Ipswich Iceworks. Now, interestingly, Frank's wife had been the first white baby born in the Esk district and the first christened at St Paul's Church in Ipswich.
Wow.
Now, Ipswich horticulturalists have also been leaders in coldness. Now, Fred Turley was the Ipswich curator of parks in 1934 when he witnessed the only snow ever to fall in Ipswich.
Really?
And it was Fred's successor as curator who was responsible for Bunty, which was Queensland's first zoo crocodile that I told you about last week.
Yes.
But it was the big chill in 1908 that had temperatures below freezing, taps frozen, and chaos across the city.
Wow.
You see, one night the thermometer at the Ipswich post office went down to -1.7 degrees Celsius. But the next night, on Thursday, the 25th of June, 1908, a further slump in the mercury had weathermen talking about records. It went down to -3.9 degrees, which was the coldest that officials had experienced here at the time. Now, the coldest ever official temperature in Ipswich today is -4.3 degrees, which happened in June 1985. So this 1908 event was really serious. And there were potentially dire consequences. You see, one night soil man in North Ipswich had to break the ice in the water trough before his horse could get a drink.
Because the night soil was used to collect the dunny. Is that nice soil?
That's right, and if the horse couldn't proceed, Ipswich was in trouble. And in gardens across the city, all kinds of flowers, staghorn ferns, orange trees and other plants were really badly affected.
Wow.
There was only one positive to come out of it for gardeners.
What was that?
And that's the chill killed scale pests on the plants. Now, the two nurseries in Ipswich, they suffered the worst, despite losing their scale. Mr. William Marsh of Thorn Street, he reported that all of the 27 taps at his Ipswich nursery were frozen.
Wow.
And that his roses had never been damaged as badly before. He could only get 2 blooms out of the whole of his nursery. It almost then it broke. It was so cold in Ipswich that even at midday, Mr. Marsh still had ice half an inch thick.
Wow.
Now, he later died at the nursery, which had become one of the foremost in Queensland. As well known as William Marsh was, it was his father, John Marsh, who had been even more famous for the quality of his melons. Now, the other nursery in Ipswich was also devastated. It was at Mr. Alexander Pichart's Milford Nursery near Queen's Park. that not a single rose bloom survived. Mr. Pritchard was the greatest flower lover in Ipswich history, even better than you, Danny, because after his death, the Alexander Pritchard Pavilion was opened at the showgrounds.
Yes.
And the Pritchard Memorial, which is a marble tablet commemorating him, was unveiled there by none other than the Governor, Sir Leslie Wilson. So the next time you go to the show, look, we've just had it the other week, but next year, ask about the Pritchard Memorials and remember the devastating freeze of 1908.
Yeah.
But the most amazing thing to come out of the Big Chill happened not far away at the Franklin Vale homestead at Grantchester. That's where Mr. Arthur Mort recorded inside his house a temperature even colder of minus 5.6 degrees.
Wow.
Now, the lowest officially recorded temperature in Queensland today is minus 10.6 degrees in Warwick and Stanthorpe in the 1960s. But in 1908, Mr. Mort actually recorded down on the flat next to his homestead an incredible temperature of minus 11.1 degrees. That's minus 11.1, which is half a degree colder than even the state record today.
Wow.
His cold, single-storied weatherboard home was built in the early 1870s and is still there to this day and is still owned by the same family.
And
they're probably still shivering.
Grantchester?
That's right.
Wow.
Yes, Grantchester. And one of the Mort family in 1861 even established at Darling Harbour in Sydney the first freezing works in the world, and that enabled Australia to ship its mutton and the lamb around the world. So Ipswich's connection to the cold, Danny, has been long established. And even though our unofficial record from 115 years ago, it just remains unrecognised because it was recorded by Mr. Mort and not by the Post Office.
What a great story about Ipswich. 11.1 degrees is very cold. Snow.
That's minus 11.1.
Yeah, ice.
Frigid.
Unbelievable. In fact, apparently there was lots of dogs stuck to posts and trees those days and having to pee. And the people, those taps that were all sealed up, the tap dancers were as stiff as a post as well. So there you have it.
Oh, it was awful. But how did the dogs get away?
Well, when it thawed out, they just dropped off the posts and trees. Why do you ask those questions?
Yeah, but
just go along with the gag, will you, please?
No, well, I actually was serious because I just assumed they got away very carefully.
Yeah. I see better answers than mine. And what are those two girls that are our fans? What's their names?
Sophia and Rebecca. And don't forget Jacob.
Oh,
but
Jacob.
there's another, look, this week, I've got to tell you about another follower, Max Pedley. He said he actually remembered seeing the crocodile enclosure at Queen's Park in the 1940s. So last week's story really rang a bell for Max as well.
Good on you, Max Pedley. And that was Harold the H. Peacock. And he is from, what's your website?
Yeah, the website is historyouthere.com.
Historyouthere.com. You've heard it first right here on West Bremer Radio, and you can hear Harold about this time each week telling us all about the history of this wonderful city, Ipswich, at 8:25 and 7 seconds.